So I've been out for the past few weeks on vacations, and of course every single EUC companies all decide to either release or announce their wheels while I'm out. There's the veteran Lynx thing, Motion V14, and the outrageous V-Go Commander Pro GT. And of course there was the incredible news of the leap from 134 to 151 volt by veteran, only to be upstaged by V-Go with their follow-up announcement 168 volt with an outrageous free spin of 200 km/h. But as the early preview and impressions roll in, something seems off with this round of electric unicycle releases. Bigger, more powerful, and faster had been the pattern. They were even grumbling by some riders over the associated increase in size, weight, and of course cost. But this year it's a little bit different. Even with the significant increase in voltage, it doesn't seem like we are seeing a corresponding increase in performance, especially when it comes to top speed.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
This week, the very strange state of the 2024 electric unicycle lineup, where no one seems to be able to agree on how fast is too fast or fast enough. Let's talk about the veteran Lynx, the Commander Pro GT, and the Motion V14. Roll intro. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video and help spread the uni gospel. So every year, right around November or December, we start to see electric unicycle demo releases for the following year. The demo wheels being late prototype or early production model, and they're sent out to YouTuber or influencers like me with the intent of having them ridden hard and tested in a real world condition, so that potential defect and problem could be identified and fixed prior to the real production run. And for the past few years, I have been part of the process, but this year's things are a little bit different. All right, of course it rains immediately as soon as I start recording, so I had to run home and put on some waterproof clothing. But thankfully, the Lynx I'm riding is also waterproof, so we'll just have to take things a little bit slow, and hopefully my gimbal won't give out on me. So the V14 was originally intended as a 2023 release. Motion was supposed to send out the round of demos somewhere in July, but it just kept getting pushed. And now that we're in December and end of this year, it's finally happening. In some way, I'm not terribly surprised, since there have been rumor of a corporate reorg.
Is that enough off the top? I don't know. Is it?
Including replacement of the CEO. Slightly disappointing, since I really like Bob, who seems genuinely passionate about electric unicycles. But the more likely culprit to the delay, the radical new suspension design. Motion have finally decided to catch up to the better lever-on based suspension design that both Hsiang and V-Go have been perfecting over the past few generations of electric unicycles. And that by no means is an easy task. The earlier V-Go iterations had poor geometry, travels, and tend to bond now when there's a heavier rider or a bigger drop. And same thing for Hsiang. Even though the S18 was among the best when it comes to suspension during the early gen electric unicycle designs, it's not exactly designed to handle the kind of heavy-duty, robust use modern electric unicycle rider would expect of their wheel now. With Motion coming late to that suspension design, the expectation certainly would be that they have captured all the lesson learned, with the problem that the earlier iterations of this design has gone through. And so far, based on the few earlier reviews that had started to trickle out, it certainly seems to be the case. But honestly, the thing that excites me more are its promises of modular battery pack, which was the one thing I asked for when Motion had requested feedback during the last round of wheel review when the V13 was released. The reason why this is likely on the top of my list are that battery pack is the most volatile and expensive part of an electric unicycle. I'm sure I'm not the only one having nightmare about battery fires in my tiny apartment, and having the option to easily remove battery for charging or storage purposes would certainly be a huge value add for any EUCs. And also theoretically, in the ideal world, if they're truly modular, they should also allow you to use it interchangeably between wheels, and perhaps even giving you the options of purchasing electric unicycle without battery packs if you already have them. The gold standard for modular battery design is the Taiwanese company Gogoro with their electric moped and battery subscription model. With a network of battery swap stations, you never have to worry about range again, with the additional benefit of having the battery monitored by the charging station for sign of degradation, so again, reduce potential for fire. That plus the ability to easily remove battery packs also opens up the possibility for air travel in the future. And yes, you certainly still need access to a pack when you arrive, but it is far easier to ship or borrow a battery pack than it is to do so with the entire wheel. But that does require a level of standardization that none of the personal electric vehicles, including e-bikes or scooters, have currently. And EUC is the perfect example where its electrical design has remained relatively fluid due to the ever greater demand of performance. Hard to make a standard pack when the voltage and the associated battery configuration continues to change. But despite the limitation with the current modular design, I do appreciate the fact that Emotion at least made the effort to engineer in quick disconnect for the battery pack, since it also has the side benefit of allowing easier access to both the motor and the wheel assembly, and so accommodate easier tire and tube swap. And I really hope that the other EUC companies take up their example and include similar quick disconnect for their battery pack. It would make all of our life easier if they do. But going back to performance, this is perhaps the one area of disappointment for me when it comes to the Emotion V14. The electric unicycle market have gotten extremely competitive over the past year, and you have three other alternatives when it comes to 134 volt 16-inch suspension EUCs: the veteran patent, the extreme volt Commander Mini, and my current favorite, the Go Extreme. And despite the V14 having the most powerful motor, it is also in fact the slowest, with a max tiltback speed set at 70 kilometers per hour or 43 miles per hour. And I totally get the fact that very few EUC riders would likely need speed that fast. However, I still think that it is something that should be left up to the individual riders rather than for Emotion to dictate. We're all adults here. We don't need someone to tell us whether or not something is safe or not, especially considering how expensive these new EUCs had gotten. But it's not exactly a surprise, since Emotion had always been conservative when it comes to speed. Even the mighty V13, oh man, it's really starting to rain kind of hard. Even the mighty V13 is capped well under the maximum speed that it's truly capable of. And as a wheel that is primarily designed for off-road use, it may not matter that the V14 isn't fast. What needs to be fast, on the other hand, is the veteran Lynx, the new 151 volt electric unicycle from Veteran, the long-awaited upgrade to the Sherman S. Now this may seem strange, but EUC companies generally aren't great with communication, especially when it comes to the intent for their wheel releases. And I have based my assumption that the Lynx is intended as a speed wheel on the fact that it doesn't have as large of a battery pack as compared to the Sherman S, and so can't go as far, and that it has an 18-inch wheel as compared to the 16 on the patent, and so likely cannot match the torque output on that wheel, despite the fact that it is significantly higher voltage. I think we all naturally assume that since they're raising the voltage and going back to an 18-inch design, plus the emphasis on lighter weights, means that this is intended as a race race wheel. And they were rumored of a 100 miles per hour free spin, which is crazy, but on par with the kind of performance with going to 150 volt should bring. And we have since been told that the free spin for the Lynx has been capped at 77 miles per hour. But what we do not know is whether or not that also means a corresponding reduction in actual top speed. And there were much confusion on the subject, including a good old East Coast versus West Coast drama between Ronan and Rogers on what this wheel is actually capable of when it comes to top speed. Most of this is, of course, caused by the fact that EUC companies do not advertise top speed for electric unicycles, since most EUC nowadays are capable of far higher top speed than what the general public would consider to be safe or reasonable. And what it comes down to is that the only way for us to know how fast a new EUC will go is if one of us test dummies take it all the way up to its maximum speed and see where the 80% power output warning kicks in. And so far, no one has gotten the Lynx up to its maximum speed, which is extremely unusual, since that is usually what every single YouTube speedster does. The first thing they get their hands on a brand new demo electric unicycle. And yes, Roger did manage to get the wheel to give its 80% power warning at 55 miles an hour, but that was done at 50% battery, so does not represent the full capability of what the Lynx can actually do. And furthermore, extrapolating that number means that this wheel can potentially be the first 60 miles per hour electric unicycle. But until someone actually achieves that speed and gets the warning, we don't really know. All right. So even though the Lynx is fully waterproof, unfortunately I am not. So let's take it inside and continue our conversation. And the reason why you have all these guys, including me, who already have a Lynx in hand but no top speed, is that it is no longer a simple act to just get on one of these wheels, lean as far as you can to see how fast it can go. And that is that power is no longer the sole limiting factor. As we get ever faster, the riders begin to realize the slew of other factors comes into play. How high the pedals are, weight distribution, wheel geometry, or even how the firmware is tuned. The V-Motion V13, for instance, claims a top speed of 55 miles per hour, but it was tuned so conservatively when it comes to its tilt back. Hard as I tried, all I was able to do was to get it up to 52 miles per hour and no more. And the same is true for the crop of 134 volt 16-inch electric unicycle, the majority of which have enough power to hit 55 miles per hour, but because of their smaller diameter wheel, really lack the stability you need in order to hit their top speed in anything less than ideal road conditions. Now you at this point may be thinking that 52, 55, or even 60 miles per hour don't seem like that big of a difference, but I think at least for the veteran Lynx, top speed is its one major differentiator. Even small differences matters. The Lynx has to be the fastest wheel on the market because veterans' reputation to a certain extent rides on it. And we know that it's a big deal because of the immediate response from the go. Not to be outdone when it comes to the voltage and top speed war, the Commander GT Pro at, are you ready for this? 168 volt with a mind-blowing free spin of 125 miles per hour or 200 kilometers per hour. That specification is so insane that I don't really quite know what to think of it. Does that mean we have a 80 miles per hour wheel on our hand? I don't know, but I certainly am eager to give it a shot whenever I actually get my hand on that wheel. EUC market has been shifting over the past year, with track racing starting to become a huge part of the EUC EUC community and a regular fixtures in regular gathering all over the world. And they provide a safer and more importantly legal venue for riders to push the speed of their electric unicycle. And I have little doubt that like auto racing, EUC races would also come to define the winner and loser when it comes to which company produced the fastest EUC. I am of course excited to ride the Lynx as well as the V14. But in addition to the usual questions about qualities or even performance, we also need to start asking what exactly are these wheels actually built for and whether or not they really suit that specific purpose as electric unicycle become more and more specialized. It is both a somewhat puzzling and exciting time for electric unicycle, and I honestly can't wait to see what's coming up next.
Every time I make a run, girl, you turn around and cry. I ask myself,
So what do you think? What is it that you want with new electric unicycle releases? And are the V14, Lynx, or Commander GT promising features or spec you're looking for? Or are things getting way too out of hand and expensive? Well, that is what the comment section below is for. And you know what? Once again, I ramble on too long and somehow managed to waste another 15 minutes of your life, but I hope you enjoyed it. Shout out to my supporter on Patreon. Please check out the link in the video description below if you enjoy and like to support my work. And as always, as much as we all love electric unicycle, the only way for us to get better wheel is to grow as a community. So tell your friend, teach them how to ride, and get them hooked.
dedicate this record to Carnival, so all you brothers taking long trips down south.